Have you ever wondered what annoys INFJ females the most in social situations? Seriously, it's like everyone's having a blast, but INFJ females are sitting back, quietly bothered by things most people wouldn't even notice. Let's talk about it. INFJ females are a breed of their own. Independent, strong-willed and driven. They don't follow trends, they make their own path. They're not about fitting in, they're about standing out in the best way possible. But there's one thing most people miss. The things that totally rub them the wrong way. Things that everyone else seems to love. In today's video, we're going to explore the 8 things that INFJ females just can't stand, but it's time to bring them into the light. Let's just say, if you ever wondered why an INFJ might roll their eyes or go quiet in certain situations, now you'll get it. There's this misconception that INFJ females are cold or distant. Maybe people think they're too serious or too introverted, but that's far from the truth. In reality, INFJ females just don't buy into the nonsense. They don't like to be surrounded by superficial things. They don't play by society's rules. And that's exactly why they can't stand some of the things others adore. But most of the time, people don't even realize how out of sync they are with an INFJ's mindset. So let's break it down. 1. Small talk. First off, small talk. INFJ females can't stand it. It's one of those things that seems to be universally loved by everyone else, but for an INFJ female, it's like an unnecessary interruption. You know the type of conversation I'm talking about, the one where people ask about the weather, or talk about the latest random TV show they're watching, just to fill the silence. That's the kind of conversation that INFJ females just can't get into. And it's not because they're rude or uninterested. It's because they've got way more important things to think about than the temperature outside or the latest gossip. For INFJ females, small talk is just a distraction. It's a constant reminder that people are filling space with words that have no real meaning or substance. INFJ females thrive on depth. They crave conversations that make them think, that challenge their perspectives, or that connect them with others in a way that actually matters. The typical "how's the weather?" or "have you seen the latest episode of insert TV show?" just doesn't cut it. It feels like wasting time, like people are just talking to avoid silence instead of having an actual, meaningful exchange. It's exhausting to pretend to be interested in topics that don't spark anything inside. For INFJ females, every moment counts, and time spent on shallow conversations could be better used for self-reflection or accomplishing goals. Imagine sitting in a room full of people and all they're doing is talking about the same old surface-level topics. The INFJ female will be zoning out, mentally going over her to-do list, or thinking about something far more interesting than how much rain fell last week. She doesn't need to fill the silence with pointless chatter. To her, silence is okay, it's natural, it's part of living in the present. Small talk, on the other hand, feels like forced energy. It's something everyone feels they have to do in social situations. But INFJ females reject that need for constant noise. They value authentic conversations, ones that dig deeper and reveal more than just surface-level thoughts. If the conversation isn't meaningful, it's hard for an INFJ to stay engaged. She's not interested in pretending to be friends with someone just to fill social obligations. She'd rather have a quiet moment than a fake conversation. That's just how it is. INFJ females believe in authenticity, and small talk is the opposite of that. It's why you'll rarely find them at the center of a crowd, jumping into every chat or laughing at every joke. They're not there for that. They're there for real interactions, the kind that connect people at a deeper level. And when that doesn't happen, they'll politely excuse themselves from the conversation or just remain quiet, knowing they'd rather have their energy focused on something that actually matters. In a world where everyone else seems to thrive on small talk, INFJ females stand apart. They don't play by the same rules, and that's what makes them unique. They don't need constant conversation to feel validated. They can be alone with their thoughts and be just fine. They'd rather skip the fluff and go straight to something with real substance. So, next time you're around an INFJ female, don't waste her time with meaningless chatter. Instead, try to engage her with something that will make her think, something that taps into her intellectual curiosity, or something that's real and genuine. You'll see a completely different side of her, a side that's all in, ready to dive into something that truly matters. That's what she wants and that's what she deserves. If you're vibing with this, don't forget to hit that like button and drop a comment about what small talk annoys you the most. Alright, let's move on to the next one. 2. Social media drama. Next on the list, social media drama. Ugh, where do we even begin? For INFJ females, social media is like a different world, one they'd rather not get caught up in. From endless posts to people living their lives through filters, it's all just so fake. INFJ females see through all the nonsense. They see through the perfectly curated photos and the flawless lifestyles people try to project. It's not real, and INFJ females know that. They're not about portraying a life they don't have. They believe in living authentically, without the need for validation from anyone. Social media, in their eyes, is filled with shallow content. It's all about what looks good on the surface, not what's real beneath. And that's exactly why they can't stand it. It's exhausting to see people constantly posting their best moments, only to hide all the struggles that come with being human. INFJ females aren't interested in this facade. They'd much rather spend time focused on personal growth than scroll through endless posts that only reinforce society's obsession with perfection. It's not that INFJ females don't understand social media's place in the world. It's just that they don't buy into the fake game. They're not interested in keeping up with trending hashtags or jumping on the latest viral challenges. They're too busy doing their own thing, creating their own path. For INFJ females, real life is enough. They don't need to constantly update their status, post selfies, or keep everyone updated on every little thing they do. Their value isn't tied to likes, shares, or comments. They know that social media often only shows a distorted version of reality, and they want no part of it. Why would they waste their time living for the approval of strangers when they can focus on what truly matters? They're all about creating a life that's rich in experiences, not just appearances. INFJ females don't need followers or to be liked by people they've never met. They care more about real connections, deep conversations, and experiences that contribute to their growth and self-improvement. Social media drama also brings a lot of negativity, and INFJ females are not about that energy. From toxic comments to the constant comparison game, it's all just noise. They don't have time to entertain all the drama that comes with it. They'd rather spend their time working on themselves, learning new things, or engaging in activities that actually help them evolve. The pressure to live up to an idealized version of life is something INFJ females reject entirely. They understand that no one's life is perfect, and they don't need to pretend theirs is. They don't need to chase after likes or fake engagement to feel good about themselves. They know their worth comes from within, not from an online persona. For INFJ females, social media is a tool, not a lifestyle. They'll use it to connect when necessary or to share something that actually means something, but they won't get caught up in the game. They'd rather invest their time and energy into real-life relationships and building a future that's meaningful. The drama and the filters just don't appeal to them. It's not their world. They've got their own, and it's far more fulfilling. So while others may get lost in the noise, INFJ females stand firm, knowing that they've got everything they need in the real world. They'll keep their energy focused on growth and authenticity, because that's what truly matters to them. Social media drama will come and go, but the INFJ female's sense of self won't be swayed by it. Point 3. Crowded parties. Then, crowded parties. Ugh. If you've ever invited an INFJ female to one, you know she's probably not going to thrive in a room full of strangers. It's not that she doesn't enjoy socializing, but when it comes to big gatherings where everyone's pretending to be someone they're not, she's just not into it. For an INFJ female, authenticity is everything. She's not about putting on a mask just to fit in with the crowd. She can see right through the forced smiles, the fake laughs, and the people who are just trying to be someone they're not. Crowded parties are full of noise, chaos, and small talk, and none of that speaks to her. She thrives in spaces where the energy is real, where conversations matter, and where there's actual substance. When she walks into a room filled with people trying to impress each other or fighting for attention, she feels disconnected. There's too much going on, and it's just overwhelming. That whole scene feels like an empty display, a circus of ego, and INFJ females have no interest in being a part of it. What they truly want is something more meaningful. She's the type who would rather have one deep conversation with a person who genuinely understands her than try to engage with dozens of people who are just there for the vibe or to snap photos for social media. INFJ females don't need to be the center of attention, nor do they enjoy being around people who crave the spotlight. They'd rather be in the background, observing, quietly taking everything in. When it comes to socializing, they want quality over quantity, depth over surface-level interactions. At crowded parties, the energy can be so diluted that it's impossible to find anyone who's on the same wavelength. It's not that INFJ females are antisocial. They just don't see the point of pretending. They're not interested in spending hours in a loud room, listening to shallow conversations about the latest gossip or what people are wearing. For an INFJ female, it's not about being in the crowd, it's about finding the people who truly align with her mindset. If she feels like no one at the party can offer that, she'll quickly lose interest. It's not about being rude or closed off, it's just that she values her time. Time spent in chaotic environments like crowded parties doesn't add value to her life. In fact, it drains her energy. INFJ females like to surround themselves with people who make them better, who challenge them, who help them grow. When she's surrounded by noise and distractions, it's hard for her to connect with anyone on a meaningful level. If she goes, to a party, it's usually because there's someone there she really connects with, or because it's an opportunity to have a meaningful exchange, but that's rare. More often than not, she'll find herself standing on the edges of the crowd, silently wishing she could skip the party altogether and go do something that feeds her soul. She's not about mindlessly mingling, she's about experiences that matter. So, while others may be running around trying to network or have a good time for the sake of it, INFJ females will be quietly planning how they're going to leave and do something more fulfilling. If a party doesn't align with her values or interests, she head out without a second thought. To her, it's better to be alone or in a small group with deep connections than to force herself to fit into a scene that doesn't feel right. That's just how she operates. She doesn't need the crowd to feel whole. She's content with herself, and that's where her true power lies. Crowded parties just aren't her scene. For the follow the crowd mentality, that's another pet peeve. It's one of those things INFJ females just can't get behind. It's not because they want to be difficult, but because they don't need validation from others. They don't need the approval of a group to feel good about themselves. While everyone else is jumping on the latest bandwagon, rushing to conform to what's trending, INFJ females are the ones sitting back and thinking, that's not for me. They don't feel the need to follow what everyone else is doing. In fact, they thrive in situations where they can stand apart and forge their own path. They don't need to be part of the herd to feel like they belong. INFJ females are independent thinkers. They have their own way of seeing the world and making decisions. They're not afraid to go against the grain, to make choices that others might not understand. When a trend becomes too popular, it's often a turnoff for them. It's almost as if they can sense the collective pressure to conform, and that's exactly what they avoid. They're not interested in doing something just because everyone else is doing it. For INFJ females, being authentic is more important than fitting in. Trends come and go, but staying true to themselves is something that never changes. Following the crowd is too predictable for them. They don't want to be a part of something just because it's ambitious. They want to be a part of things that speak to them on a deeper level. That's why they prefer to focus on their own interests, their own passions, and their own goals rather than getting swept up in the latest cultural moment. In many ways, INFJ females are ahead of the curve. They don't need to wait for others to tell them what's cool, or they set their own standards and follow their own path. If a trend doesn't align with their values or interests, they won't waste time on it. It's that simple. This mindset isn't about being rebellious for the sake of rebellion. It's about being true to themselves. INFJ females value individuality. They believe that it's better to stand out for who you are than to blend in just to fit in. And that's a refreshing perspective in a world that often pushes people to conform, whether it's fashion, music, or social behavior. INFJ females are the ones who will resist the pressure to follow the crowd. They'll take their own approach, even if it means being the outlier in a room full of people doing the exact same thing. They don't need to follow the herd because they know that true power comes from within. It's not about fitting into a mold, it's about breaking free from it and creating your own. They're the ones who won't buy into fleeting trends just to be liked. Instead, they focus on building something real and lasting that truly reflects who they are. So, when everyone else is lining up to join the latest movement, INFJ females are the ones who are comfortable enough to stand alone, knowing that their path is just as valid, if not more. In the end, they don't care if they're the only one doing it. They'll continue to do things their own way, and that's exactly how they like it. Following the crowd, that's just not their style. Following their own path, now that's something they'll never apologize for. Before we move on to the next one, like and comment below if following the crowd isn't your thing either. Now, on to the next point. 5. Shallow conversations. No thanks. INFJ females don't have time for them, and frankly, they don't see the point. They like to talk about things that actually matter. Whether it's personal growth, big dreams, or real experiences, they want to engage in discussions that have depth. Small talk about the weather, the latest celebrity gossip, or a random TV show doesn't interest them. They're not going to fake enthusiasm just to keep a conversation going. For an INFJ female, shallow conversations are exhausting. She can tell when someone's just going through the motions, pretending to be interested in something they don't care about. It's like a game that's just not worth playing. She'd much rather be alone than waste her time with superficial exchanges that don't go anywhere. She values authenticity and realness, and when the conversation is empty or surface level, it's hard for her to connect. She's the type who thrives on deep, meaningful talks, where both sides can learn something new or see things from a different perspective. A conversation that only scratches the surface doesn't satisfy her, it just leaves her feeling drained. If you're not ready to go deep, to discuss something that truly makes you think or challenges your beliefs, she'll probably already be mentally checking out. She's not rude about it. It's just that her mind craves substance. She quickly recognized that the conversation isn't worth her energy, and instead of trying to force something that isn't there, she quietly disengage. INFJ females don't need constant chatter to feel connected to others. They'd rather have a few meaningful exchanges than be stuck in a room full of people all talking past each other, never really getting to the heart of anything. And the thing is, they can tell when someone's pretending. INFJ females have a sixth sense for authenticity, and they're not fooled by people who try to act like they care when they really don't. She can see the difference between someone who's genuinely interested in a conversation and someone who's just passing time. For INFJ females, it's not about the quantity of conversations, it's about the quality. They'd rather have a deep, introspective chat with one person than be caught up in a crowd of people all talking about things they don't really care about. This isn't about being elitist or judgmental, it's about respect. When INFJ females give their time and attention, they want it to be valued. Shallow conversations feel like a waste of both. It's tiring to engage with people who are just filling silence with empty words. What's the point of that? INFJ females are thinkers, and they need more than just surface-level exchanges to feel fulfilled. They want to talk about ideas, dreams, fears, and anything that matters in the bigger picture. Anything less just doesn't cut it. If you want to connect with an INFJ female, you have to be prepared to meet her at her level. She's not interested in wasting time on things that don't have meaning, and she's not afraid to let you know if the conversation feels hollow. She'll step away from shallow interactions because they don't serve her growth. In her eyes, life's too short for anything less than genuine, thought-provoking connections. 6 distractions from personal growth. Distractions that pull them away from their personal growth. Huge turnoff. INFJ females are driven, and nothing stands in the way of their desire to constantly evolve. Whether it's mastering a new skill, working on a project, or improving themselves mentally, they're always striving to be better. Every moment of their time is precious, and they'll only invest it in activities that contribute to their growth. Anything that gets in the way of that is seen as a waste of time. INFJ females aren't the type to let life just pass them by. They know exactly what they want to achieve, and they take steps every day to move closer to their goals. Distractions, whether it's mindless entertainment, unnecessary drama, or people who don't share their drive, are simply not welcome. They don't need to be constantly entertained or distracted. They don't waste their time on things that don't serve a purpose in their self-improvement journey. For INFJ females, self-growth is not a phase, it's a lifestyle. Every day is an opportunity to be better than they were yesterday. Whether it's reading a book that will expand their mind, learning a new skill that will get them closer to their goals, or reflecting on their own behavior to improve as a person, INFJ females are always in a state of progress. Anything that interferes with this focus is immediately dismissed. Their drive comes from within, and that's why they won't allow anything to derail them from their path. If something isn't contributing to their growth, they simply don't have the time for it. They aren't interested in wasting energy on things that don't align with their vision of who they want to become. Whether it's binge-watching a TV show or getting caught up in drama, INFJ females are just not wired to waste time on things that don't lead them to their goals. They would rather use that time to work on themselves or to build something meaningful. This isn't about being overly serious or rigid. INFJ females understand the value of relaxation, but they don't allow distractions to consume them. They know that if they're not careful, they can easily fall into a pattern of wasting time on things that don't matter. They're always checking in with themselves to make sure they're staying on track, and they don't let the world pull them away from their purpose. They understand that success and personal growth are achieved through consistent effort and focus. That's why they reject anything that takes them off course. For them, distractions are just a way to avoid real progress. They want to be constantly moving forward, always challenging themselves to be the best version of who they are. Whether it's investing time in learning a new language, developing a professional skill, or simply improving their mindset, INFJ females are all about growth. Distractions, they don't have the energy for that. When they commit to something, they give it their full attention. So when people or situations try to pull them away from their path, it's a huge turnoff. They won't entertain things that don't push them closer to their goals. Their focus is sharp, and they know that personal growth doesn't happen by accident. It takes work, time, and dedication. INFJ females don't have time to waste on things that don't support their personal mission, and that's what sets them apart. They're not just moving through life, they're actively shaping it. 7. Fake friendships. Fake friendships. Definitely something INFJ females hate. They can't stand the idea of keeping people around just for the sake of it. To them, a friendship should mean something real, something that adds value to both people involved. INFJ females are not interested in maintaining relationships that don't have depth or authenticity. They understand that life is too short to waste on shallow connections, and they'd much rather have a small, tight-knit group of people who to truly get them than be surrounded by a bunch of fake friends who are more about status than genuine connection. Fake friendships are draining for INFJ females. They can sense when someone is pretending to care, when people are only hanging around to benefit from association or to maintain appearances. INFJ females are not fooled by the surface-level niceties that often come with these types of relationships. They're deeply intuitive and they quickly pick up on the fact that someone's interest in them is more about what they can gain than who they actually are. This is why INFJ females prefer authenticity over popularity. They would rather be alone or with a few true friends than be part of a social circle where everyone is just pretending. To them, the depth of a friendship is far more important than the number of people in their lives. They don't need a large group of people around them if those people aren't adding anything valuable. Fake friendships are a waste of energy, and INFJ females know that. They're not into the whole keeping up appearances game. They don't care about social status or the number of followers someone has on social media. What matters to them is the quality of the relationship, the connection, and the trust between people. When INFJ females form bonds, they want them to be real. They want to be able to be their true selves around others without fear of judgment or pretense. That's why they reject fake friendships outright. They don't have the time or energy for people who are just there for the sake of filling space in their social circle. INFJ females value honesty, loyalty, and trust above all else, and they expect the same from their friends. They're not about fake compliments or pretending to be someone they're not. When they're friends with someone, it's because they truly respect and care for them, and they expect that respect to be mutual. If someone isn't willing to be real with them, INFJ females won't waste their time on them. They'd rather cut ties and focus on the people who actually bring something meaningful to their lives. This doesn't mean INFJ females are cold or antisocial. In fact, they're deeply loyal to the people who matter to them. They just know that fake friendships are not worth their time. They'd rather have a handful of true friends who support them and challenge them to grow than be surrounded by a crowd that doesn't really know them at all. INFJ females value authenticity in all their relationships, and they're not afraid to walk away from people who aren't offering the same in return. For them, real friendship is about mutual understanding, trust, and a deep, meaningful connection, not about status, popularity, or convenience. Fake friendships simply don't fit into that vision, and they will always choose quality over quantity when it comes to the people they surround themselves with. 8. People-pleasing. And finally, people-pleasing. INFJ females are not here to please anyone, and they certainly won't waste their time trying to make everyone happy. They've got bigger things to focus on than seeking approval or keeping everyone comfortable. The idea of molding themselves to fit other people's expectations is something that simply doesn't sit well with them. INFJ females are all about authenticity, and they'd rather speak their truth, even if it makes others uncomfortable, than hold back just to keep the peace. If something's on their mind, they'll say it. If they disagree with something, they won't hesitate to voice it. They don't care if it makes people uneasy or challenges the status quo. To them, it's more important to be true to themselves than to conform to the expectations of others. Living authentically is non-negotiable for INFJ females. They're not afraid to step on some toes along the way because they believe that honesty and integrity are worth far more than being liked by everyone. Being liked doesn't drive them. Being respected for who they are does. People-pleasing is exhausting, and to INFJ females, it's a sign of weakness. They don't want to bend over backward just to make others feel comfortable at the expense of their own beliefs or values. If someone can't accept them for who they are, that's their problem, not the INFJ females. This doesn't mean they're deliberately rude or disrespectful. Far from it. INFJ females can still be kind and considerate, but they're never going to fake their personality just to make others feel better. They'll speak their mind with confidence and stand their ground, even if it means people don't always agree with them. For INFJ females, the fear of upsetting others doesn't outweigh the need for self-expression. They refuse to suppress themselves just to maintain a facade of peace. If that bothers you, they're probably not the person you want to spend time with, and that's okay with them. They understand that not everyone will appreciate their straightforwardness or their refusal to fit into conventional molds, and they're completely fine with that. In fact, they'd rather have a few genuine relationships with people who understand and respect them for who they truly are than be surrounded by fake people who only like them when they fit into a box. INFJ females live by their own rules, not the ones society imposes on them. People-pleasing is a trap, and INFJ females refuse to fall into it. They won't compromise their identity for the sake of other people's comfort or expectations. They're not here to constantly apologize for being themselves or to tone themselves down to make others happy. Authenticity is their core value, and they refuse to let anyone take that from them. If someone doesn't like the fact that they speak their mind or live life on their terms, INFJ females will gladly walk away. They're not here for validation, they're here for truth, growth, and the freedom to be who they truly are. But the one thing that really gets under their skin, the constant expectation to fit in. Society often makes it feel like you have to act a certain way, be part of a group, or conform to social norms. Everywhere you look, people are trying to fit into boxes, to do what's expected, and to look a certain way in order to be accepted. It's exhausting. It's like there's this invisible pressure to mold yourself into someone else's idea of who you should be, just to fit into the puzzle of society. But INFJ females, they reject that. They don't follow the crowd. They don't need to be part of some group to feel like they belong. In fact, they thrive in solitude or with a small circle of people who truly understand them. They set their own rules, live life on their terms, and do what feels right for them, no matter how unconventional it may be. That's the key thing to understand about them. It's not about rebellion for the sake of rebellion. It's about freedom. Freedom to think for themselves, to make choices that align with their inner truth, and to pursue a path that's uniquely their own. They're not about playing by society's script. They're writing their own. This isn't about being difficult or refusing to conform because it's cool to do so. It's about owning their space in the world, unapologetically. INFJ females don't want to waste their lives trying to live up to someone else's expectations or fit into a mold that doesn't fit them. They are fiercely independent, and that independence is what allows them to live authentically. They refuse to be molded into something they're not, and they won't pretend to be someone else just to gain approval. That's what sets them apart. It's not about being an outsider, it's about choosing freedom over conformity. Freedom to live authentically, without the pressure to please others or follow trends. That's where the real power lies for INFJ females. It's not about rejecting everything society values, it's about choosing what aligns with who they are and what they want from life. For INFJ females, being true to themselves is the ultimate form of self-expression, and that's the kind of freedom they will always choose over trying to fit in. So, there you have it. 8 things that INFJ females hate that everyone else seems to love. Small talk, social media drama, shallow connections, crowded parties. The list goes on. It's not that INFJ females are picky or out of touch with the world. It's that they value depth, independence, and authenticity above all else. These aren't just preferences for them, they're fundamental ways of living. They want to connect with people on a real level, avoid distractions that take away from their growth, and live a life that's aligned with their true selves. They're not interested in wasting time on things that don't add value or challenge them to grow. The more you understand these things, the better you'll understand an INFJ female. Once you grasp what truly matters to her, your interactions will shift from surface-level pleasantries to genuine, meaningful connections. That's where the magic happens. When you respect her need for authenticity and depth, your relationship with her will go from ordinary to extraordinary. It's not about impressing her or playing a role, it's about showing up as your true self, without the need to put on a show. And that's when the real connections happen, where trust, respect, and growth can flourish.